Good evening, everyone. 大家晚上好。Welcome to the Forum on COVID-19 Vaccines. 欢迎大家来参加我们新冠病毒疫苗研讨会。今天我们会请到那个郑伟德中医师来和我们讨论这个新冠肺炎还有其他外感病的使用常识。So we are very happy to have Dr. Vic Cheng to give us presentation on the practical advice on COVID-19 infections and other exterior conditions. 那郑医师他是多年前是在加州的 Berkeley 大学毕业，他是拿的是经济学的学士。毕业以后，他在万博城这边南校的宿舍当了至少有2年的义务老师吧。后来就因为他对中医很有兴趣，应该没有记错，他到 UCLA 去实习，然后到上海去念中医学院。毕业以后呢，他回来就直接到圣城这边来附近，然后到圣城每周都来这边做义诊，已经很多年了。So Dr. Chen was a graduate from UC Berkeley. He had a BA degree in economics. And after that, he came to CDP, served as a dorm teacher at the boys' dorm for at least a couple of years. And because he's interested in Chinese medicine, he went to UCLA to some research, I think, to study there. And at that time went to Shanghai, China, to attend the traditional Chinese medical school. And after graduate, he came back right to move to Ukiah, and he came to CDB as a volunteer doctor for every week. He's been doing this for many, many years. So, and Victor, I think you can share your screen and turn on your camera and start to talk.
Everybody.
Don't see your screen yet. Sharing your slides.
Huh? You guys can hear me?
I can hear you, but are you showing your slides?
Yeah. Can you guys see the slides?
Now we can see that.
Oh, wait. Can you guys see the slides? Oh.
Yes. No. Not now.
Okay.
It shows up and disappear.
Can you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Vic Cheng. I practice traditional Chinese medicine and acupuncture in Ukiah in San Jose. Today, I'd like to share with you some practical advice for COVID-19 infection and other exterior conditions. 大家好，我是郑伟德中医师。 我今天很高兴能来这里和大家分享，有关新冠肺炎及其他外感病的实用常识。Okay. So we need to first find out what is exterior condition, right? So this is a traditional Chinese medicine term, right? In Western medicine, they don't have this concept. So this is a pure traditional Chinese medicine concept. 所以我们今天讨论的东西是外感病。那外感病这个就是一个中医的名词，西医里面是没有什么叫做外感病。西医的话可能就是上呼吸道感染啊或什么的，但是在我们中医里面，我们不是这样子称呼，我们是叫它外感病。So why is it called the exterior condition, right? So in a very top level, very broad spectrum, we talk about it, categorize all these into three different factors. One is endogenic, that means coming from within. The second one is exogenic, meaning it's coming from outside. And other means things that does not categorize into the first two. So it's not inside and it's not outside. 所以外感病这个名词是我们中医特有的名词。为什么叫外感病呢？因为我们从很抽象、很宏观的角度来看的话，中医把所有的疾病可以分成三类。第一类是叫做内因，是从内部升起的疾病。第二个是外因，外因就是从外面来的这个疾病。那如果不能够分成内和外的话呢，我们称作叫不内外因。内外因就是不属于前两类的，他类的就是不内外因。So what would be considered endogenic disease? So like suppose a disease that arises out of emotion, excessive emotion. So in Chinese medicine, your emotion will move your qi. And if you move your qi a certain way for a long time, it can trigger disease, right? It could be diet. If you eat unbalanced diet, you eat very fatty food, you like to eat a lot of meat, you can have a diet-induced disease, right? You can have diabetes, heart disease. So those are diet-generated. So anything that's internally from your lifestyle. Exogenic disease comes from exterior, your surrounding environment. Generally, we say it's come from 6 climatic factors. Right? I will go into detail later, but usually we say it's coming from 6 climate-related issues. But it can also come from infectious factors. So you can get it from somebody passing a disease to you. That will also be exogenic. And the other just categorize everything else, right? It could be genetic. It can be some kind of allergy. It can be insect bite. It can be a trauma, like a physical trauma. So those are not categorized by internal or external. Those are grouped into the other factors. 所以内因是什么呢？内因就是从内在生出来的病因，通常是跟生活习惯有关系的，可以是七情，可以是饮食，我们中医很注重气机，气的运行叫做气机，而气机会被我们的七情，就是我们的情绪波动会影响到我们的气机，如果长期的情绪有偏差的话，就会引起疾病。那饮食也是可以引起疾病。假如说我们中医讲说好吃甘肥厚腻啊，吃的很油腻，吃的很甜，吃很多肉，那这样子饮食就有偏差，久了就会有饮食的疾病。 那外因呢，通常我们讲是六气和脏气。六气就是大自然里面正常的气，但是如果有偏差的时候，它也可以变成致病的因素。那戾气就是一种传染性的疾病，就是跟六气没有关系的，可以人传人的疾病，这种叫做戾气。那如果不属于内也不属于外的呢，就被归类到不内外因，所以各式各样的疾病，我们都把它算到不内外因，可以包括遗传性啊、过敏啊、虫蛇咬伤啊、跌打损伤这种，我们都可以把它算在不内外因。So now we are going to focus on the exterior condition. So why is it called exterior? Because in traditional Chinese medicine, we believe that it is through skin contact or mucous membrane or orifices, and it's infectious. Okay, so why is it skin? Right? Skin because the climate change, you sense it through your skin. So the 6 climatic factor mostly affect you through your skin. You feel hot, you feel cold, you feel dampness, you feel dryness. So those are the climatic factor disease. They are transmitted through your skin. Uh, but infectious disease are transmitted through your mucous membrane or orifices. So that would be a little bit different, but it's also something you get from the outside world. So this is exogenic. 那我们现在专注讨论外感病的话，外因引起的疾病都是属于外感病。那外感病怎么得的呢？传统上我们中医说是通过表皮和黏膜等特殊感受器而感染的各种传染性疾病。那表皮是怎么解释呢？就是这个六气是大自然自然的天气，所以呢。它的感受是通过表皮的冷啊、热啊、潮湿、干燥，这些都是从表皮感受到的。所以60的不正之气，假如说影响到我们的话呢，是通过表皮。那高度传染性的这种传染性疾病呢，则是通过黏膜等特殊感受器，所以事实上口鼻相传呢。可能你揉眼睛的时候感染到了，所以它是通过我们人的五官还有黏膜而感染到的。So what are the exogenic factors, right? So it's basically 2 major categories for simplicity's sakes. One of them is 6 climatic factor. So these are the natural energy, natural chi in the natural world. So you will have wind, you have coldness, summer heat, dampness, dryness, and fire. So these are naturally occurs in the natural world. So in Chinese medicine, spring is a season with a lot of wind. Winter is a lot of coldness, right? Summer has a lot of heat, a lot of dampness. Fall has a lot of dryness and heat. So these are natural worlds. So they naturally occurs in the world and doesn't cause disease. But if we have excessive of them in the wrong time during the year, then it can trigger disease. So suppose it's winter, but it's abnormally hot. If it's in the summer, it's abnormally cold. So your body was anticipating certain climate, but you actually got a different climate, then you will catch sickness. So people in Asia, this is a very common experience, right? You go during the summer, it's very hot in Asia, right? You go into air conditioning room, you come out of air conditioning room, it's hot. You go into air conditioning room again. So if you have these kind of alternation in temperature, it's very easily to get sick. 所以那个我们现在讲这个外因呢，通常分成2大类，简单来说是属于六气还有戾气。六气是我们自然界正常的气，所以叫做六气。但是如果我们超过的话，它就变成六邪或者六淫啊。我们这个佛教里面这个淫的原意，你看这3点水淫，淫的原意是浸泡的意思，所以呢就是浸泡意思就太多了 ，too much， 所以叫做六淫，所以它也可以叫做六邪。这是哪6种呢？是风寒暑湿燥火这6个气，这6个气是大自然里面正常的气。按照中医的说法，春天是属于风的。夏天是属于暑的、热的，秋天是属于燥的、火的，冬天是属于寒的。所以在正常的季节有正常的气候，是正常的，正常人也不会生病。但是如果是有不正常的情况，人就很容易生病。假如说冬天应该要冷，结果它变很热，那也会生病。夏天应该要热，它很冷，也很可能会生病。住在我们加州，因为气候太好，大家都没有开空调啊。但是如果你住在亚洲，常常要进出冷气房，那大家就很有体会啊。一下进去冷气的地方，要出来又没有冷气，很热，又走到一个冷气的地方，一冷一热，一冷一热，大家生活体验都知道是很容易生病的。所以这是传统我们说通过皮毛得到的外感病，也就是六气引起的。So besides the 6 climatic factors, there's also pestilence qi. Pestilence means it's something that will cause you disease no matter what. It's just infectious, something that can trigger disease in people. 所以除了正常的六气之外呢，我们中医还有一种叫做戾气。戾气就是它是不正常的，它不是一种邪气，它不属于正常的季节的，但是它是高度传染性的，人只要得了就会生病，它和这个六气是没有关系的。So in the ancient, people are already know about these exterior conditions and they are categorized. So here is a quote from Nanjing. Nanjing is written about maybe 2,500 years ago. So it's a series of 81 questions, right? So this is the 58th question. There are 5 kinds of Sanghan. So Sanghan means exterior condition. So there's 5 kind of exterior condition: hit by wind, damaged by cold, dampness, heat, febrile disease, and Wenbing. So Wenbing is infectious disease. So he already categorized exterior condition into 5 categories, 5 general categories. Okay. 所以我们外感病通常会分类，那最早的分类是在难经，难经是大概估计是大概春秋战国时代，所以就2500年前的中医典籍，它其中是中间有81个问题嘛，就是问难，这个难是问题的意思，里面有81个问难，第58难他们在讨论的是伤寒。伤寒这里是广义伤寒，就是说所有外感病，因为你看这里也有一个伤寒，对，这里有个伤寒，这里有个伤寒，所以这里的伤寒是广义外感病的意思。伤寒有5，有哪5种呢？有中风，有伤寒，有湿温，有热病，有温病。那这个温病就是我们这个传染病的意思，其他这些都是属于外感病，就是风邪呀、寒邪、湿邪、热邪，但是温病这个是属于传染病。So the first 4 you can say they are climatic factor, right? You can see it's caused by wind, caused by cold, caused by dampness, heat. This is febrile disease like diseases are causing inflammation and temperature change, and then this is the infectious disease, which we call Wenbing. Okay, so you can see that these 5 diseases are categorized, but this is like a spectrum, so it's a little bit different. So even though they are the same, they are exterior condition, you can tell that there is a slight difference, right? So these are more on the cold side. You can see hit by wind, damaged by cold. The symptoms are usually feeling cold. So this is a little bit different than these, because these you can see they are all have heat. So these are heat related. Usually they have rising temperature. So what makes the difference a lot of time is actually the immune system. So when you have what we call deficiency of proper, when you have a weak immune system, most likely you get sick. It's by climatic factor. Right, so just a change in temperature, you can get sick. But here, where the heat, where the disease generate a lot of heat, usually is caused by excess of evil qi. So that means your body might have good immunity, but then there's something very infectious that is attacking your body and triggering your immune response and causing you to have heat. 所以我们外感病上只分5类，但是我们如果细细看，你可以感觉得出来，这5个排列出来的话，它是有一点点差异的。这个中风、这个伤寒，这些都是偏凉性的，它是偏寒的；而这个湿温热病、温病，它是偏温热的。那这个怎么差别呢？通常你这个寒性的疾病，就这个人的正气是比较虚的。他因为正气虚的原因呢，他的免疫反应比较弱，所以呢，很普通的环境的气温变化，他就会生病。所以这个邪气不一定很强，主要是他的正气比较虚弱。但是下面这里这个湿温热病、温病，你可以感觉出它明显是有发热的疾病。那这个有发热的疾病呢，就是这个人的免疫系统还是蛮强的，他有免疫反应。那通常这个样的人生病呢，他不是正虚，而是邪实，就在环境里有一个大的传染源，这个大的传染源让他不得不生病。生病了以后，身体会产生很激烈的免疫反应，通常这个免疫反应的表现。就是在发热上
面。Victor， 你的声音仍不是很 stable， 有时候大声，有时候小声。
OK，
那不是很清楚。
你这样听得到？这样有没有清楚一点？
这样子好多了。
可是因为我的这个 camera 好像它是会缩进那个电脑里。那你们刚刚有听到吗？
刚刚有听到，但是就是在 YouTube 的人说声音很小。现在就很清，现在很清楚了。刚刚也没有。刚刚
我需要重讲一遍吗？不用，
不需要，因为你的刚刚也没有看到你的 camera 也都不见了，现在有了。
你现在看到我吗？看得到我？
现在看到，对。
OK。
就是你那个呀，你头只照到眉毛，上头没有照到。
因为我的这个 web camera 是可以缩到键盘里的。我刚把它放在键盘里了，可能。OK， 那这个so what is the feature of exterior condition? So there's several features. So one is that it's exogenous, so it comes from outside. So that we already discussed. But it also means it's transmissible. So usually you can pass it to other people because from outside, right? It's not something that you do. It's not like a lifestyle disease. It's something that happened to you. So that's why it's transmissible. Okay. And then it's also mutable. So what does that mean is that the symptom will change quite a bit because it is a conflict between the proper qi and the evil qi. So there's an evil energy coming from outside, and your body's proper energy is trying to fight it. So there is a big conflict. So that's why it's mutable. You have a lot of change in symptoms. So one day you are having cold, the second day you feel very, very hot, you have fever, and then the third day you feel cold again. It could be all kind of possibility, but it's just always changing. But if you have an endogenous disease, or suppose you have a diet related disease, it's not going to change every day. So most likely you are going to feel the same every day, but gradually worse. But for exterior condition, it's going to come very quickly. It's going to change very quickly. That's why it's so complicated, and sometimes it can be very difficult to treat. 所以外感病的特色是什么呢？第一，它是由外而来的，所以是外因。这个外因我们刚刚已经解释过的时候，我们这里就不再讲了。因为它是外来的嘛，它是外来，就是通过这个外部环境得到的病，所以它是会传的，就是可以人传人，可以环境传。所以它不会是只有一个人得。如果你今天是一个内在的疾病，假如说饮食引起的疾病，你这个并不会传给别人，因为人家吃的东西跟你不一样，所以呢，你是不会传人的。但是如果你是外感病它就会传染，可能多次人一起得也是有可能的。它还有一个最大的特别是它是可变的。这个为什么会可变呢？因为它是一个正邪争斗的结果，所以你的身体里面有正气，但是外面来了邪气，所以这个邪气就跟你里面的正气产生了斗争，所以它的这个症状会变来变去，它可以是一下发，你看第一天发冷，第二天要发热，第三天要发冷，第四天要拉肚子，它这个症状会变来变去，依照正邪斗争的阶段而产生变化。那从我们中医角度来，就是感冒其实是外感病是比较难治的，因为它会变来变去。好，那so the treatment of exterior condition, because it's so different and so various and so always changing, so it can be very tricky. We have to make sure we got three things right. One is we have to differentiate. Is it a deficiency or is this an excess? Is it a heat or cold? Right? We have to differentiate the nature of the disease, right? When we encounter exterior condition, right? That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have to understand the cause and the transmission. Is this something that is highly infectious? Will it transmit to other people, or this is something, a change in temperature, a sudden alter of environment that's causing this disease? Right. And then the third is that we must foresee the progression of the disease. So that's the whole point of the Chinese medicine. Why do we categorize these disease? Is that different category, the disease will progress differently. So by correctly identifying the pattern, we can foresee the progression and anticipate the treatment. 那外改病因为比较复杂，所以呢，需要分清楚三件事情。第一个是要分清楚寒热跟虚实，就是这个病的性质，我们要搞清楚，它是热还是冷，它是正气虚弱还是邪很实，我们要分清楚，不然治疗上面会容易出现错误，因为错一点点可能错很多，寒热你分错了。错一点点就错很多，虚实你分错了，错一点点也是错很多。那第二，因为这是传染病嘛，所以我们要了解它传染的途径。它是一个传染性很强的疾病呢，还是它只是一个因为气候变化引起的疾病？如果是气候变化 引起疾病，可能就是我们或身边的人得了，别人不会得。但是如果它是高度传染性的疾病，那我们就要小心这个疾病，可能要更加注意。那治疗的时候要预先判断疾病的走向。为什么我们要把这个外感病分类分得这么细呢？因为古人就是把它分出来，因为就是有一个一定的规律，有一个 pattern， 所以把它分类出来的话呢，我们可以预先知道这个疾病的走向。可能病因是不同的，但是它的走向我们如果能知道的话，我们可以治疗预防这个病的传变，预防这个病的恶化，扭转这个病的情势。所以 so the first step is to determine the cause, right? So we have to find out, is this disease exogenous, right? Because sometimes it can be masking. Because sometimes people catch a cold and manifest as a diarrhea, right? So we have to find out if you have diarrhea, is this something, did you eat something wrong, or is this causing from exogenous factor? Or maybe it's very cold, you catch a cold, you feel very cold, and then you have a diarrhea. So you have to find out if this internal, external, right? And once we find that out, we have to find out, is this excessive climatic factor or this is pestilence disease, right? So if it's a climatic factor, that means it just affect me or affect people around me. But if it's pestilent, that means it's transmissible, highly transmissible. So it can affect me, but very quickly spread to other people. That's why we had to find out what the cause is. 所以第一步我们要明白病因，病因我们要分清楚到底这是内因还是外因。我们理论上看很简单，好像很容易就知道，但是事实上不是这么简单，因为有时候内在的疾病跟外因引起的外感病，它有时候症状是很接近的。比如说你受风寒了，我们中医叫做直中，就是寒气直接中到你的身体里面去了。那你可能拉肚子，那你可能吃坏东西也会拉肚子，你可能先天脾胃虚弱也会拉肚子，所以这个时候分出内因外因就要分得很仔细。那分清楚是内因外因的时候呢，如果假如说我们知道是外因的话，因为这个是六淫还是戾气呢？六淫的话就只是正常的气候变化，那这个气候变化并不会传染很多人，可能就影响到我们自己身边的人。但是如果这个是属于戾气的话，就要很小心，因为它是高度传染性的疾病，它不但会影响到我们，而且会影响到我们周边的人。那我们怎么知道？So how we know it is exogenous, right? So usually exogenous disease are fast acting, right? So there's sudden change. Usually you can trace it back to an event, right? You go out, the wind blow on you, you feel a little chilly, and then it started. Or you catch a cold, something, you went to a party and then you catch a cold. So those are usually, there's a traceable. They usually affect multiple people, right? So people around you also get similar things, right? It's not just you. 通常外因的特色是起病快。通常假设你出门得到了受了风，你感觉有点不舒服回来生病了。那通常它是有一个可以追溯得到的事情引起的，通常是最近几天。当然也有潜伏期的，我们中医也是有潜伏期的。但是潜伏期通常也是可以 trace 得到，就是通常病人会记得有一件事情，而不是一个慢慢累积起来的这个生活习惯引起的病。还有一个特色就是多人得，就是不是你一个人得，就是大家一起出去玩回来2-3个人都生病，就知道这个是外因而不是内因一起来的。所以我们这里用伤寒论，张仲景的伤寒论序。伤寒论怎么说的呢？余中族数多，项羽200。他说我家里的族人很多，通常都是200多人。 这个建安纪年以来，犹未10年，其死亡者2/3，伤寒10居其七。他说，东汉的这个建安年开始呢，还没有10年，我们家里的人大概2/3的人都死掉了，而在这个2/3的人里面呢，得伤寒而死的大概10居其七，也就是2/3就是60% 嘛，60% 里面的70人，7640，这40几%的人在10年内因为伤寒病死掉了。敢往席之轮上，伤痕腰之末就，乃请求古训，博采众方。所以为什么激发了张仲景著《伤寒论》呢？就是他家里的人，很多人，对，我们可以叫多人得，起病快来，所以40% 的人因为伤寒病而死。而这个伤寒病它不一定是传染病，就是不一定是一种瘟疫，它可能就是古代的人因为他的房子隔热啊什么做的没有什么好，所以他对气候的变化感受特别敏感。我们台湾也是嘛，有时候寒流来哇，一下子死好多人，但是他们说这是台湾寒流死的人比这个新冠肺炎还多。所以那你想想看，在台湾已经气候这么温和了，都可以死这么多人，那古代的话呢，这个建筑的条件不够，它可以是传染病，也可以是气候变化，就可能一个寒流来就死了，所以它才叫伤寒论。So I'm using this quotation from the prelude to 伤寒论. 伤寒论 is written by Zhang Zhongjing around the East Han Dynasty, so about 2,000 years ago. So he is writing about what motivated him to write 伤寒论. Right? He said, my family has about...
Victor, we can't hear you.
Huh? Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. So in Zhang Zhongjing, in伤寒论, he says that my family has more than 200 people, but in the 10-year, 2/3 of them have died. And out of that 2/3, 7 out of 10 died from Sanghan. The Sanghan is just a general term for all exterior condition, right? So we can know that exterior condition is very fast acting and can affect multiple people. And that's what motivated him to write the book Sanghan Luan. So I read in the news in Taiwan this winter, more people died from cold weather than from COVID-19, right? So sudden temperature change can be very devastating for people of low immunity. And if you think about in 2,000 years ago, right, the buildings, they don't have the same quality, the same insulation, the same heating, cooling function that we have. So very commonly people are affected by sudden change in temperature. So it could be, so in Shanghai, it could be talking about infectious disease, but it's also talking about temperature change, like climatic issues. Okay, so if we find out this is exogenous, right? So what do we find out? So we have to separate if it is 6-axis, is this a climatic factor, or is this a pestilence? Is this causing a highly infectious disease that's spreading from people that has nothing to do with the weather, or is this causing by some kind of climatic change? 所以当我们确定是外因的时候，我们要再细分，到底这个疾病的来是因为这个六气呢？六气就是自然界的常气，因为产生了突变，所以产生了变成造成疾病。它本来是正常的，但是因为突变，就是不正常的情况下会造成疾病，还是戾气？戾气就是一种特定的传染源。戾气的话就是跟气候没有关系，它就是这个疾病本身就是高度传染性的。那我们这里要用无诱可的瘟疫论 吴六可是明代的医生，明代末期的医生，他是做了一个瘟疫的专论啊。以前瘟疫的疾病散见于其他的书籍里面，但是到明朝的时候，他正式的把它完整的记录下来。然后他说，伤寒与中暑，感天地之常气。所以他这就是讲，这就是六淫的疾病啊，伤寒与中暑，感天地之常气，疫者感天地之利气。所以这个瘟疫呢，高度的传染病呢，不是正常的，它是属于一种天地的利气，在岁有多寡，在方偶有浓薄，在四时有盛衰。就是这个利气呢，它是很特别的。它在有的时候多，有的时候少，有的地方浓，有的地方薄，有的季节强，有的季节弱。这个病呢，就是它是不可预期的。此气之来，无论老少强弱，触之者疾病，就是跟这个疾病源接触到的人就会生病。它跟你的抵抗力啊，跟你的年纪，跟你的跟这个气候的变化是没有关联的。So I'm using a quote by Wu Youke. He is the author of 瘟疫论. So that is the first systematic book talking about infectious disease. So he written it in late Ming Dynasty, so about 500 years ago. So he says that exterior conditions, some exterior conditions come from contact with the natural climate, but infectious disease are different.
Your voice become muffled and very low.
Oh, sorry. Is it the infectious disease come from pestilence, so it's a specific pathogen. So it might differ from different years. It might, some place have more, some place have less. Some season is stronger, some season is weaker, but it doesn't really matter because if neither you are old or young, if you're strong or weak, if you contact it, you will catch the disease. So he is the first guy to
We can hear you. No voice, no sound.
Hello? Hello?
Very low. The sound is very low.
Hello? 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 Hello?
A little bit, but
Hello? Can you hear me?
barely.
Barely.
It's muffled and very
Stop
low.
and then restart. Hold on, let me try to stop and restart. Can you hear me now?
Well, still muffled.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but it's muffled.
Okay.
What happened to your microphone?
No, I didn't touch anything. I don't know what happened. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'll keep going while we can still hear you. Okay. So, okay, I'm going to do the Chinese words, okay? 所以呢，按照这个吴又可的解释呢，瘟疫之为病，非风非寒非暑非湿，非是乃天地间另有一种疫气所感，所以他这里就很明确的告诉我们，瘟疫就是高度传染性的这种传染病呢，它跟自然界的气候是没有关联的。不同的病得的利气也不同，所以它就是一种利气得一种病，所以它已经等于很接近我们现代传染源的说法了啊。他又指出人的病气跟动物有时候可以互通，它不一定的。 有的病只对动物之间传染，有的病是可以人畜互相传染的。然后他又讲说，这个疫者感天地之利气，邪从口鼻而入，所以他就意思说，这个病呢是从呼吸道传染，高度传染病，它是从呼吸道感染的，而跟传统上认为这种六气引起从皮毛得的病不一样。那为什么叫做疫呢？疫这个古代这个疫的字是表示就是要替政府做义工嘛。古代的人他要缴税，还要做义工，所以男女老幼都必须要去替政府做工。所以呢，就像我们台湾有兵役一样所以他这个得病跟你的正气是没有关联，主要是传染源。六气的病可以是气候，也可以是你自身的免疫力造成的机会性的感染、机会性的生病。但是如果瘟疫的话，通常跟你的正气没有很大的关系，主要是这个疾病本身自然的传染性。So according to 瘟疫论 by 吴又可 right? Pestilence qi is not related to the climate. It doesn't really matter what the temperature is. It doesn't matter what your immunity is, right? And your disease is predetermined by the pestilence qi. So certain pestilence qi is going to cause certain symptoms, certain prognosis. It's not determined by your immune system alone. The disease has predetermined the pathway of transmission and the symptom. And he noticed that some disease will transfer across species, some disease only transfer among the same species, but some disease will transmit in between species. And different species will have different response to the disease. And the most important thing is that he noticed that pestilence qi usually enter through nose and mouth, not skin. So he already know that it's airborne. So people catch this disease through the nose and the mouth, not the skin. But traditionally, people thought disease is caused by temperature change, and you notice it through your skin. But he said, no, this is the special category of disease. These are pestilence. That's why if you watch some Asian movie, and they have disease, you see people cover their nose, cover their mouth. So they already know that some disease are airborne, and you have to cover your nose and mouth, otherwise you will get sick. And these diseases are highly transmissible, and doesn't matter about your property, doesn't matter what your immunity is. 所以这个戾气，古代的人已经知道是从口鼻了。所以你看，有时候古代的电影，人家在埋尸体或在做什么事情的时候，他会把口鼻遮住。所以古代人已经知道这个是从空气传染的，所以必须要遮住口鼻。So now if we know that this is disease is caused externally, right? And then we know this disease is a climatic factor or pestilence. Now then we have to differentiate the disease by the symptoms. It's very professional, so we can only talk about it in a very generalized way. So in general, cold symptoms that manifest as coldness correlate with deficiency, meaning the body is not having enough immune response to the disease, so usually it manifests as cold. Usually fever, people who manifest symptom of heat usually correlate with excess, meaning that usually the body has enough qi, but it just are facing with a pathogen that it needs to have an immune response to fight it off. So usually excessive condition will have fever, and deficiency condition manifests as being very cold. So this is just a very generalized description. 所以我们在辨明了是外感病以后，又明白了病因它到底是六气还是戾气以后，我们接下来就是要辨明这个病的性质，也就是它的寒热虚实。那当然这个辨证辨病这个是一个很专业的问题，所以我们这里没有办法把它分开来讲很多。但是我们如果以通常大概来讲的话，通常虚性的疾病都是多寒的，就表示这个人的身体的免疫反应并不是很强，可能是他身体比较虚弱而得这个病。通常如果是有确定感染源，有一种烈性传染病，通常的表现通常是会是热的，因为这个人的正气并没有虚弱，只是传染病很强。那通常他身体的免疫系统会和这个感染源做斗争，那在斗争的过程中展现的症状通常都是以发热、发烧表现出来，所以通常发热的病大多是属于实症的。So let's summarize because we talk a lot about the disease. So to make sure everybody understand. So the disease first we have to find out the cause, right? Is it endogenous, exogenous, or other? 所以在看到疾病的时候，我们首先要分别这个病因。通常我们要分内因、外因和不内外因。那我们这一次专讲外感病，所以我们现在要讲外因。So because we are discussing exogenous disease, exterior conditions, so we focus on exogenous issues. And if we determine that the disease is exogenous, then we have to separate it to find out if it is caused by the excessive qi or is it caused by the pestilence qi, right? And then there's this spectrum of disease. So coldness correlate with deficiency, and usually it's over here. Okay, it's wind, cold, dampness. Those are usually deficiency related. But if it's excessive, usually it manifests as heat. So it can be heat, febrile, and winding. So these are more on the excessive side. 所以我们专注在外感病的话，我们就把如果确定这个疾病是外因，对不对？那我们要分出来，它到底是六淫，也是正常的六气，因为过度而变成六淫造成的疾病，还是戾气，就是有强烈的传染源。那我们可以看得出来，通常寒是表示是虚，所以风跟寒大部分是虚症，温热这些是属于实症。So another thing to talk about is just the spectrum of disease. So back in the ancient time, it's probably more likely that people get sick because of climatic factor, because the construction of the house is of lower quality, and also because people live far away, it's less densely populated. And also because people don't travel much and they don't interact with people far away. So there are less infectious disease, but more climatic disease. But in the later part of history, when we go to Ming Dynasty, Song Dynasty, Qing Dynasty, more population, more traveling, more interaction of people. And then we have more infectious disease. So the same as today, we are going to see a lot more infectious disease because of the globalization, air traveling. Those are very favorable conditions for infectious disease. 所以古代的人呢，他讨论外感病，通常是讨论伤寒，也是寒性的疾病。但是到后期的话，讨论很多都是属于温病、热病。这个的原因就是因为古代的时候，人的房子建筑的比较差，所以隔温、隔热隔寒都比较差。那人跟人之间交流不是很多旅行也是很偏远，所以人跟人的交流很少，传染病 烈性传染病它并不是很 common， 假如你住在一个农村里，你很少接触外面的人，你也不容易得到外面的传染病。但是越到后期，人跟人的交流越来越多，那这种传染性的疾病就变得越来越多。我们现在也是在因为全球化，大家坐飞机、出门旅行、出门办公都是很常见的。那人跟人的接触很多，全世界的人都在接触，所以我们现在也是这个传染病会越来越是一个很重要的事情。So what are some simple remedies that you can do at home right now that we talk about all these stuff? So now you find out if it's exterior condition, right? That you found out if it's pestilence or is it 6 climatic factor, and then you have find out the nature of the disease. So we are just going to be very simple and generalized. So if it's cold related, if your symptom manifests as cold, you feel very cold, you have running nose, those are considered cold related. Then the home remedy you can do is ginger tea, right? Everybody know you boil a very like several slices of ginger, you boil them, you make it into very strong tea, you drink it hot, it will warm you up. You can also do it with green onion, that's also doable. You can substitute it with also with warming spices. But some people say the turmeric, they use turmeric and it works about the same. So any kind of warming spices will help. If it's a heat related, right? Suppose you have fever, you don't have runny nose, but you have like green mucus, these kind of stuff, then you might want to try a honeysuckle flower. And the yin-chow, a lot of people know yin-chow is very popular. You go to any herb store, Chinatown, they sell yin-chow. Everybody know yin-chow. And also liang cha, in Cantonese culture, they have a lot of these kind of, we call it cold tea. A lot of them can treat virus. A lot of them can treat fever-related disease. And the reason why this liang cha is popular in the Yangtze River, in the Pearl River area, is because those is the area that are densely populated and traditionally have a lot of infectious disease. So like we remember last time the SARS was also coming from Canton region, right? And even before this COVID-19, a lot of the health experts were saying the Yangtze River region is very like a breeding ground for infectious disease. Because also you have the birds flying, the seasonal birds flying. So this also is a breeding ground for all kind of infectious disease. 所以我们讲了这么多，我们现在讲了分别病因是内因、外因不内外因，分别是六气还是戾气，然后再分别虚性、热性还是寒性。那我们就要讲一些简易的治疗。大部分的中国人都知道，很多人都知道哦，中医治感冒要分寒热的，当然不只是寒热，其实分很细很细。但是呢，对于在家不是专业的人士，我们简单分寒热就可以了。那如果这个外感病是属于寒性的，寒性它通常身体会发冷，没有什么发烧、流鼻涕，甚至有些人会拉肚子，这都是属于寒性的症状。那通常我们建议是喝姜汤，或者用葱白去熬汤，或者是辛热类的香辛料。很多人一感冒就喝姜汤，也是不对的。也有人一感冒就吃银翘啊，什么也是不对，因为其实还是要分一分寒热。那如果你是寒性的话呢，你就要用温性的药去对抗它。那你就要用姜汤、葱、辛香的药来对付它。有人告诉我姜黄也很有用，我没有试过，但是 多人跟我讲说感冒寒性感冒的时候用姜黄效果也不错。那如果是热性的病，你就要用寒性的药去对付它。热性的病通常会有一点点发热，通常你会喉咙会痛，鼻子可能干干的，可能鼻涕不是很多，但是也有黄绿色的鼻涕或痰，那我们就要用凉性的药。凉性药常见的有金银花，还有银翘。银翘是很普遍的，所有的中药房几乎都有卖，很多老外也知道要吃银翘。那还有就是凉茶，在南方很多人有凉茶，那这个凉茶很多都有抗病毒的作用。那为什么凉茶会在南方这么流行呢？就是珠江三角洲、长三角这些地方，长江流域都是传染病的高发区。我们上次这个 SARS 也是从广东，就是珠江这个流域发生的。古代的人已经就注意到这个长江流域、珠江流域很容易发传染病。这次新冠病情没有爆发前，很多国际上的专家就把长江流域定为是一个未来传染病爆发的一个地方。主要是因为人口很密集，还有就是潮湿很容易让病毒存活下来，还有候鸟也有关联，这候鸟飞来飞去，有时候也会带来这个传染病。So obviously you can't really do home remedy for everything, right? So those are just for very mild cases. So there are times that you have to seek professional help. Right. So what kind of situation do you need professional help? When the disease is progressing very quickly, right? So first day you feel fine, but second day you already feel much worse, then you should probably go see professional help. Any kind of high fever, you need to go see professional help. Anything that causes you to have difficulty in breathing, you need to see professional help. Also, something that drags for a long time, maybe more than a week, you should go see professional help. Or any kind of condition that makes you feel foggy headedness, then you want to go see professional help. 所以刚刚讲的这是很简单的家庭治疗，那当然疾病会也有很多病是很严重的，不能治家里的。什么样的情形你要去看医生呢？如果病情变化很快，那你需要赶快去看医生。第一天感觉还可以，就没想到第二天马上变很重，那就赶快要去看医生。通常高热发烧比较高的情况，也应该要赶快去看医生。呼吸困难，你感觉动一动，轻轻松松动一动就喘，那也应该要去看医生。或者有的病拖很久了，1个礼拜了，按理说要好了，他还是没有好，那你应该要去看医生。还有任何病让你感觉头脑迷糊糊的，这个就是可能有危险，你要去看医生。Okay. And back in the day, people already know you need to prevent infectious disease. So even though it's Ming Dynasty, Wu Youke, he wrote down about it systematically, but long time ago, people already know that you have to prevent. Prevention is really the key. And the best way is actually to quarantine, right? If you stop contact with people who are sick, then you won't get sick. And the second one, if it's not able to quarantine, then you need to cover your nose and mouth. So ancient time, people already know this. I don't know why now the American, they don't know it, but everybody should know it, okay? And then vaccination and preventative medicine. We will talk about that in detail. 所以传染病最好就是预防，治疗其实还是其次的，主要是要靠预防。 那预防最好其实是隔离，就是不要跟病患接触，不要让这个病情扩散。这个从远古时代大家就已经知道了。吴有可在明代把瘟疫论很系统性的写出来，但是其实在明代以前大家都已经知道了还有遮掩口鼻也是一个古老就有的常识。我也不知道为什么现在好像大家对这个有怀疑，但是从古代大家就知道要遮口鼻。如果中国人也知道，欧洲人也知道。如果你看古代欧洲的对这种瘟疫疾病的图画，大家都是遮住口鼻的。那接下来我们要详细聊一下疫苗还有预防医学。So a lot of people, they assume traditional Chinese medicine does not support vaccine, and that's a very common misconception. Actually, traditional Chinese medicine invented vaccination. The first vaccine in human history is the smallpox vaccine. And the Chinese already knew how to vaccinate people for smallpox back in Tang Dynasty, so almost 1,000 years ago. And they didn't do it very well, so they keep improving on the process and keep getting better and better until Ming Dynasty. And they learn how to deactivate the virus. So initially they would just get a sick person's smallpox, and then they would just either put the cloth onto the healthy person, or they will just get a liquid from the pox and then give it to the healthy person. And then they realize the healthy person is going to end up with the same death rate as somebody who just got infected. So that's not really a vaccination. You're spreading the disease. So then they learn to deactivate the virus. They learn to dry it. They learn to heat it up a little bit just to kill it a little bit so it's more safe. So they already know that, and it's widely practiced already in Ming Dynasty. And the method of vaccination, some people say passed through Russia to Europe, and some people say it's passed through Arab to Europe. And then in Europe, then they developed the cowpox. Right? I think it's Jennings in Britain. He developed the cowpox vaccine for smallpox. But originally he got the inspiration from the human vaccination of smallpox from the Chinese through Russia or through Arabs. 所以很多人都假设中医会反疫苗，但是其实疫苗是中医发明的。人类最早的疫苗是天花的人痘接种，在唐代大家已经知道这个天花得过一次的人就终身免疫，所以他们就开始研究免疫的方法。一开始这是手法很粗糙，可能就是把一个得过天花的人的衣服给另外一个人穿上，或者把这个天花的病人的痘痘里面弄出来一点汁液，涂到健康人的鼻子里面，所以他们已经知道是鼻子呼吸道可以传染。但是呢，后来发现用这样接种的话，接种的人死亡率也是一样的，那就这个天花疫苗就没有意义了，变成你在扩散这个疾病。然后慢慢他们就研究，然后学会了灭活这个病毒，所以他们可能先采一点这个天花病人身上的这个液体，然后让它干掉，干掉了以后再用蜡烛的火很快的烫一烫，把这个病毒烫死一些，可能留下一些蛋白。其实跟我们现在的疫苗治法没有很大的差别哈，就传统疫苗，现在新型的是这种 mRNA 啊，这种就是更现代的，但是老一点的疫苗它也就是这样子，就是拿一个活的病毒把它灭活一点点，留下一些蛋白质，所以就跟我们古代中国的疫苗 是没有太大差别。So vaccination is part of Chinese medicine, but I think a lot of people against abuse of vaccination because the vaccination is a big business, very profitable. So I think most people, Chinese medicine doctor, would be against the blindly vaccinating for profit. So there's a huge difference. So we have to separate meaningful vaccination and vaccination for profit. 所以大部分的中医，我相信都了解这个历史，并不会无意义的反疫苗啊，因为我们中医是疫苗的发明人，所以我们不可能反疫苗。那我们反的是就是为了盈利而目的而大规模的疫苗，没有意义的疫苗。现在这样的疫苗其实有的也蛮多的，所以大家要分清楚，不能随便反疫苗，也不能随便接种疫苗。So I have a patient. She is a drug rep, so she sells drugs to doctors, and she works for a pharmaceutical company. And then one day, another patient who is also a drug rep, they met at the lobby of my office, and they started chatting. And then they thought, they said, oh yeah, I used to sell drugs, but then I move on to vaccine, and we are making so much money from vaccine. So a lot of drug company, they make more money from vaccine because it's administered to everybody, right? That you can pass a law and force people to vaccinate. So that's administered to everybody than drugs, because some people, only a few small subset of people need drugs. So there is a lot of profit motive behind the vaccination. So we don't want to support meaningless vaccination, but we don't want to be against vaccination blindly. We have to use our judgment. 所以我在讲，我以前有一个病人，他是那个药厂的代表，药代。然后他有一天，他在我的那个 lobby，就是那个等着看病的那个房间里，另外又来了一个病人，那个病人也是一个药代，就他们两个就聊起来了，就聊着聊着，他就说：“哎呀，以前我是推销药，后来我改去推销疫苗啊，现在生意最好，我们公司最赚钱的就是疫苗。”所以这个疫苗里面有的时候有盈利的目的在后面，因为疫苗如果立法规定，就会变成每个人都要打，所以它这个获利是比药还大很多。因为药的话不是每个人都吃药啊，但是疫苗如果一旦法律规定，就变成全部要打了。所以呢，我们不能盲目的反疫苗，但是我们也不能够随便就叫大家打疫苗，就是大家用自己的分别心看看到底这个疫苗的用途是什么。So there's also preventative medicine that is practiced traditionally in traditional Chinese medicine. Okay, I'm going to go through some of them. One is aromatherapy. So traditional Chinese, and they use a lot of aromatherapy. They may burn some incense indoor. They might hang some fresh herbs either in the house or carry with them. What these aromatherapy does is that a lot of these have antibacterial, antiviral properties. So when they are dispersed in the room, it reduces the transmission of bacteria and virus. Another is these aromatherapy herbs, they trigger the mucous membrane in your lung, in your nose, in your mouth, and they will increase the circulation to these organs so that it will regionally boost your immunity a little bit. So that are traditionally used. So some people, it can be some kind of perfume, some kind of incense. Some people that carry like a little bags of fragrant herb with them. Some people make them into little pills that they take when they travel. Also keep your environment clean. Okay, that's also very good prevention. And then also you want to work on boosting your immunity, right? Exercise. Some people can take tonic herbs. If they know their body type, they can boost their immunity. And also probiotic. In the ancient time, they already know about when you change environment, the biome in the environment, so the mixture of bacteria and virus is different at different places. So you can take fermented food. Those will help you with probiotic, sourdough bread. Some people, they carry yeast, right? They use yeast in their cooking. Those are probiotic. It can work as a preventative medicine. 所以古代还有其他的预防的医学呢，一个很常见的就是避讳或者是熏香。就古代用很多这种香辛料的药，有的是挂在门口、挂在墙上。我们重阳节要挂菖蒲，对不对？端午节要香囊，我们古代香囊，平常烧香、熏香在家里。或者是用水煮这个药草，或者烧药草熏这个方。端午节的时候，很多人有熏药草的这个习俗。其实美国的印第安人也是有这个习俗，我后来发现。而这些现在的研究证明，这些药呢，如果熏在空气中的时候呢，可以减少细菌、减少病毒。减少细菌，减少病毒。那另外一个方法是打扫环境，让这个出去，我在上课。等一下，再回来就讲。爸爸再说出去。还有打扫环境啊，把环境保持干净也是一个很好的办法。然后还有一个呢，你们看得到我的荧幕吗？ Hello? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can see now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. 所以它打扫环境也是一个很好的办法。那平常也应该要加强正气，通过运动的方式，还有调理体质的方式加强正气。那其实古代已经有这个益生菌的治疗，也是预防性的治疗，就是通过发酵的食物，通过这个酵母，还有假如说你如果吃着我们讲酸面包、老酵母馒头，就也是一样的，就是用老的面种，它其实就是一个 probiotic， 就是它有益生菌的治疗，那这些都是有预防作用的。好，那今天我的讲说就到今天为止，就到这里为止。
Okay, thank you, Victor. We are over time already.
Sorry. It's
okay. And there's a question online. 寒中带热的感冒咳吃什么中药比较好？
如果是这种复合型的，你就要去看医生，这就没有办法简单治疗，因为它可能寒多，也可能热多，它这个比例没有办法很 generalized 的讲的。
So, any other question? Maybe we can have one more question. Okay. If not, I think we'll have an announcement. There's a question. Huang Qu, is it Huang Qu? I can't read it.
黄芪，他讲的是黄芪 ，astragalus 是黄芪。So the question is, astragalus good to take long term? I think depends on the dosage. If you take a small dosage, it's okay. It's a very mild herb. So I think for most people, not everybody, but for most people, you can take them a small dose, maybe 5 grams a day. That is okay. But it's very drying. It's a slight diuretic. So if you body tend to be on the dry side, then you're not suitable for Huang Qi. But if you're not, then you can take it. 所以他的问题就是说，黄芪是不是可以常常吃？大家都知道黄芪是一个补气的中药，也有提高抵抗力的作用。小剂量可能5克左右每天可以吃，但是呢，大剂量不行。还有就是黄芪比较燥，因为它有利尿的作用，所以如果在这样的情况下的话呢，也是不能吃。还有问题吗？
我想我们时间差不多了，要停下来了。So just have announcement here. Next Sunday is a Ribbon Sure will share with us the Vinamasa instruction on vaccines. And 2 weeks after that, it will be Tamasa Henchi. Same subject. 那下礼拜天是石法师，他会和我们分享这个上人对在疫苗方面的开示。那再过2个礼拜的话，持法师也会分享一样的题目。那中间还有1个礼拜，那个目前还没有确定是谈些什么，应该会排出来。So there's one Sunday in between these two. I think we will have something there, but not finalized. So let people know next Sunday. Okay, and I think we need to stop here and dedicate merit. Okay. Ellen, can you unmute your mic and lead us chant in English?
Okay, 阿弥陀佛。May the Mary from this practice adorn all the Buddha's lands, repay the kindness from above, and rescue those in paths below. May all who see or hear all this resolve upon awakening, and when this body meets its end, be born together in the land of bliss.
Three powers. In respect to the Venerable Master, thank you, Victor, and thank everyone's participation. 我们就到这边结束。感谢大家的参与。阿弥陀佛。